morning. This is Your Health Matters. This is Dr. Gerald Thompson. I'm back. I'm back in the land of the living. I'm back in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Oh gosh, man. I tell you the truth, it's good to be back, but I had a great time where I was. And I want to tell you a little bit about an aspect. I was in Thailand, and last week I was making arrangements to still do the show because technology allows us to do that. You have these things, StreamYard and all these other things that allow me to just connect and do my thing. But, do you know Thailand, the time difference is big. If it is 12 noon here in St. Vincent, it's 12 midnight in Thailand. And if it's 12 noon in Thailand, it's midnight in St. Vincent. And so one of the big things people experience when they travel is called jet lag. Now, many of the individuals who might listen to this program may not travel far. You may travel to the US or to England. Even traveling to England, there's going to be there which are 5 hours ahead, 4 to 5 hours ahead. You will still experience this thing called jet lag. And I want to talk a little about that. Now, today, I could talk about my experience in Thailand, what I went for, the food, the fish, the seafood, the vegetables. And so I saw purple tomatoes over there. Come on, purple tomatoes. And they taste good. You know what I mean? I saw guavas that were bigger than avocado pears we have. Yes, Sam? I should have brought one in to the studio this evening. But I felt if I did, Kamal would have asked me for a bite of it. So I was being greedy. I didn't want to get a bite of it. And so, but it's amazing the type of fruit and the foods and the cuisine. Oh my gosh, it was delightful. And it's healthy and it's fresh. Although people who live in the big cities, I went to Bangkok, and there, the folks in Bangkok love their malls. They love walking around malls and buying ice cream and buying foods. And so they love that. That's a culture, bigger than the United States. I mean, this is their entertainment. But in the countryside, oh boy, the rural people, the traditional people, that is absolutely phenomenal. And Thailand, about 94% of the people are Buddhist. Now, Buddhism is not seemingly a religion, it is a way of life. It is a way of life. And I took some pictures of me in some Buddhist temples, and I sent them to some friends. And somebody says, no, how can you do this? This person was a firm Christian. And they said, no, they were very upset with me because they thought I had seemingly converted to Buddhism, and I was mocking God. I was mocking Christianity. How dare I? But I explained to them that Buddhism is more aware. Now, I haven't become a Buddhist, but I had to show an element of respect to the Buddhist temples in the same way that people would have to show respect for our churches and our synagogues and our temples and whatever the case might be. That's normal. I'm a cultured individual and I would know this. But we're talking today not about all those things. We're talking about jet lag. And, when I arrived in Thailand, I could barely function. Let me tell you, my flight to Thailand, I went from St. Vincent to New York. Yes, I could have gone to England and from England go off to Thailand, which would have been a shorter distance and shorter time. But boy, it was far more expensive. So going to New York on JetBlue, I want to promote JetBlue, boy. They were good. And then catching a Qatar flight from St. Vincent to Thailand. It was great. I must tell you an experience. I had some visa issues that I knew I would encounter. And guess what? In New York, when I went to the Qatar airline counter, the first attendant told me I can't travel because my visa doesn't seem to be right for getting into Thailand. And I was really anxious. And he carried my passport and my ticket to his supervisor, who happened to be a nice, sweet black lady. And then they called me down. And as I went up to the lady, she says, "How are you, Gerald?" Right? And I said, "Oh, I'm fine." Now I knew she'd seen my passport. I thought she was being polite. Lo and behold, this lady who was the head of Qatar services that day was a Vincentian. She said she was from Georgetown and that she's originally from Gome. She lives in the United States. And guess what? She said, "Don't worry, we'll fix you up." And I was able to get onto the plane, no problem, because I met a Vincentian. Isn't that great? What kind of thing is that? Come on, is that a stroke of luck? Huh? That's really wonderful. I've got to send her something and tell her that I haven't done it yet. You know? Well, I tell you something. It's something difficult often to bring stuff back from there. But I tell you something. I really have to reach out to her with some kind words and send in a letter to her department in terms of the kind treatment and the professionalism in which I was dealt with. That was more important. But having landed in Thailand, which was 12, the journey took 21 hours and 50 minutes. Imagine I was on a plane for 21 hours, 50 minutes. I can tell you, I made a big mistake. I should have been worried about jet lag more. I looked at about 5 movies on the plane. Come on. Movies I hadn't seen before. And that was a mistake. You know? I looked at the whole series of House of Dragons. Anybody knows that? I saw all the House of Dragons series. And in episode episode 2. But that was a mistake I made. So when I arrived in Thailand, I could barely function from lack of sleep. It was, after all, morning in 8 a.m. in Bangkok, Thailand, but it was 8 p.m. that night. And it was 8 a.m. It meant that the whole day was ahead of me in Thailand when, within a matter of a few hours, my body should have been preparing to go to sleep. And I did not do that. I'm a doctor. I know about this, but I did not care enough. And I want to talk a little about it. And so I went out, and it's good. Sometimes when you land and to deal with jet lag, you go walking, hoping to wake up. And you could find yourself in some very strange places falling asleep. If you're on a train, if you're on a bus, if you're on a bench somewhere, you could fall asleep. And that's very serious, especially if you have a bag with you, your purse with you, your wallet with you. It's not good, you know? And so what is the meaning of jet lag? Well, jet lag is a temporary sleep problem that can affect those who travel across multiple time zones. Right now, we are at 8:15 p.m. Do you know in New York and in Florida they're at 7:15 p.m.? And in Bangkok, they are at 8:15 a.m. in the morning. So while it may not reduce you to sleep in some strange place like a park or something like that, jet lag can make it difficult to enjoy the first few days of your journey and disrupt your sleep schedule for days. So how does jet lag affect you? Well, there's been a lot of studies done, some by the Mayo Clinic. Everyone's heard of the Mayo Clinic, a very important institution in the United States we often refer to. But they define jet lag as a temporary sleep problem that can affect anyone who travels between multiple time zones. And the symptoms can include severe fatigue, sleep problems, stomach problems, and mood changes. You hear that? Mood changes. And for some people, it can make them dizzy. It can make them nauseous, as if they feel like they want to vomit. But most of the time, it can make you feel miserable. Miserable. Come on, I don't know if you've ever experienced jet lag in that major way. Yeah. But there are 5 symptoms of jet lag I want to mention to you. And the main ones are difficulty sleeping at bedtime and waking up in the morning. Difficult sleeping at bedtime, wake up in the morning. You may think you're going to wake up at 8 o'clock for an appointment, and lo and behold, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You've missed your appointment. You've missed your trip. You've missed all the things that so you got to, you definitely experience, number 2, tiredness and exhaustion. Your body is trying to adjust, so it's tired and exhausted. You may have difficulty staying awake during the daytime of the place you're in. Remember, your body is feeling that you're at nighttime and you're sleeping. So where you are, like in Thailand, it's daytime, but you may have difficulty staying awake because your body's internal clock is still in St. Vincent, still in the Caribbean. When you do go to sleep, your sleep is of poor sleep quality. There are different qualities of sleep. Sleep goes into different stages. And sometimes if you don't go into those stages, your quality of sleep is poor, And that means that you haven't really slept properly. And then you can have concentration and memory problems. Concentration memory problems, it can be serious. Staying awake, opening your eyes, trying to hold your fingers to open up your eyes, come out. You know what I mean? Somebody talking to you and you don't know what the hell they're saying, right? And remembering things, your memory is off. So who's prone to jet lag? Well, jet lag can happen to everyone, But certain factors make getting it more likely. These factors include your trip itself. Many factors about your trip can affect the possibility of jet lag, including the distance. Well, look, Thailand was on the opposite side of the world. 21 hours of flight, and totally opposite time zone, 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. So that distance is really something. Now, the big issue is if you had any layovers. Sometimes if you stop somewhere and you have a few hours and you're able to sleep during those times, therefore that's good. But guess what? I did have a 1 hour layover. My 1 hour layover was in a place called Doha, right? Doha is in the United Arab Emirates. And guess what? They rushed us from one side of the airport to another where we caught a bus and barely caught the plane. When I got onto the plane was already full. And I knew something was going to take place. You know what happens when that happens. You get onto a full plane and you have to rush to get onto a full plane. What does it mean? Your bags ain't going to make it. Your suitcase ain't making it. So, on arrival in Thailand, I did not have a new suitcase, but I was conscious of this, and I had a little pack, a little fanny pack with some things, a little change of clothes and this, that. And so my suitcase only arrived. So, in the hotel room where I was, Kamal, your mother, I wash out my shirt and I hang it up. And it didn't dry in time for the conference the next morning. But I take an iron and I iron it, and it ironed out good. So I go down, but I was looking good, but the jet lag was still affecting me. I'm supposed to make a presentation. Luckily, my presentation was not the first day. My presentation was the second day, the feature day. I'm supposed to make a presentation, So look at this. You got to look at if there's a layover that you get some sleep. The big problem with the layover, many people miss the second flight. They go the layover, they sleep, they don't catch their second flight, especially if the layover is a short time. Me, I didn't have a long layover. It was an hour to get to the plane. So we were stressed out trying to get to the plane. But imagine if I had 5 hours, I might have been able to sleep. But you have to be careful that you don't sleep for all the 5 hours. You could only sleep for 2 hours so you could catch the next plane. Right? And the big issue is how many time zones do you cross? When you go from St. Vincent to England, you're crossing 5 time zones. So they are like 4 to 5 hours ahead of us. But when you're going to Thailand, they are 12 time zones away. Kamal, do you understand that? 12 time zones away. And that's a big factor with jet lag. Perhaps the most important ingredient of overcoming jet lag is your mindset. The persons who travel every week, right? Sometimes it involves big time zone changes, and there are small time zone changes. But the moment you hit the ground, it's time to make sure you get on the phone, clear up your appointments, do your mental calculation, and figure out what you need to do in getting some sleep. And so you got to be organized. If you are just confused and you have to go and sleep, and so as a result of the jet lag, you will lose a lot of your first day. So when it comes to jet lag, it's not good to schedule a lot of things for that first day. Now, it is said, how do you beat jet lag? Here are some tips. On the plane, move your body. People sit down and just slump in a chair. You go to the bathroom once, but you should move your body. That's hard on a plane. That's very hard. But there are exercises you can do in terms of stepping up and so forth, even standing up and sitting down. People might think something wrong with you, stand up and sit down. But there's nothing wrong with that. Stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. When we say stay hydrated, we're talking about stay hydrated with water, not alcohol, water. Stretch on the plane. This is the same thing as like movement. Stretch on the plane. Stretch on it. Whether going to New York, Florida, whether going to London, stretch on the plane. Now, once again, limit alcohol and caffeine. Alcohol and caffeine. Don't take coffee. I am a coffee drinker. I drink coffee, and I drank coffee, and that was a big mistake. Get plenty of natural light. Sometimes they tell you to pull down the window if you're by the window. It's good to have that window up if you're traveling anytime during the day. With those long hours, for sure, some of that is going to be get some sunlight on your face. You understand? It's important. Adapt to the new time zone and give your body nutrients. It's important. Number 7, give your body nutrients and create a relaxing bedtime routine before and after. All these are some important tips that you need to know. So how do you really deal with jet lag? So traveling across time zone disrupts your natural internal clock. Do you know you have an internal clock? Do you know your brain has an internal clock? And this regulates your body's sleep cycle. It's able to tell your body when you should be going to sleep and when you should be awake. It also regulates hunger. It also regulates your bowel movements. Yes, it does. These are your internal clocks. You notice some people go to the bathroom in the morning. Some people go to bathroom. These are part of your internal clock. Yes, it's true. Going to the bowel can happen any time of the day, but there's a little bit of an internal clock to it. But for sure, sleep and eating. There's nothing peculiar about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is all part of our internal clock. And there's nothing peculiar about sleep at night and being awake during the day. Now, sunlight is the biggest influence on your internal clock. Sunlight is the biggest influence on your internal clock. Since light affects the regulation of a substance called melatonin. Melatonin. Let me say it again. Melatonin, melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle. And that's why some travelers find that taking a melatonin supplement can help readjust their body's internal clock when traveling. Melatonin, your brain, there's a gland underneath your brain called the pituitary gland. And that is something that releases melatonin that controls your sleep-wake cycle, right? Now, so how else do you deal with jet lag? Well, traveling across time zone, as it disrupts your internal clock, which regulates your body's sleep cycle, and so forth, all these kind of things, right? And that melatonin is an important thing, in relation to controlling it. But there are other things that can be used, right? There's some natural ingredients. Have you heard of chamomile? Come on, have you heard of chamomile? Chamomile is have you heard of shepherd's needle? Well, in our country, we have shepherd's needle. It's a form of chamomile, and it helps with sleep. There are lots of other substances, Bellis perennis. These are substances people who know about herbs would know about. They help to induce sleep. And these are all related. They already look like a daisy. You know what a daisy looks like? They look a bit like a daisy. And the product does not contain any caffeine or sleep medication, but its effect is to countering the effects of jet lag. Now, ever since persons have been looking at the jet lag and adjusting to different time zone, some people have thought about, do you take a tablet? Do you take something natural? What do you really do? And this is one of the things that has to be discussed here. What do you do during the flight, or whatever the case may be, before the flight, upon landing? And this is very important. So no jet lag can be taken with medication or by travelers of all ages. Everybody is a little different. And so it's important to know what really affects you. But we'll start a little bit in terms of seeing what is common for helping to readjust a person's body's internal clock. We'll take a little break right now. We'll come back and we'll get a little bit more into this detail.
People's Pharmacy, for all your pharmaceutical, skin and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in Kingstown. They open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Call them today at 784-456-1170. People's Pharmacy also stock vitamins and supplements, personal care items, toiletries, children and adult pampers, and much, much more. And of course, get your prescriptions filled by a friendly and professional pharmacist. People's Pharmacy. Come in today and let us serve you.
Now, a question was just asked. Why does jet lag take place? Well, I mentioned to you about this substance being released from this gland right underneath your brain called the pituitary gland. And this substance I've told you about is melatonin. And the melatonin is released a certain time of the day. Another time of the day, it's not released. And when it is released, it's telling your body that you should be going to sleep. At other times, when it's not released, your body senses that I don't need to be asleep. So when you travel, the melatonin is still being released. Your pituitary doesn't often get the message that you traveled halfway around the world and that maybe it should stop releasing the melatonin when it normally releases the melatonin. Now, truthfully, it will adjust, but it needs a few days to adjust. So as the first day you land, your pituitary gland, your body is still going to get the message that you should be asleep, as opposed to you landing at 7 o'clock in the morning, you arrive at your hotel at 8 o'clock, and you think the day is wide open to me. No, your body is releasing melatonin from your pituitary and say, go to sleep. So that first 12 hours in the country you've landed is telling you go to sleep. When you ain't ready to go to sleep, you're ready to go. You know what I mean? So as soon, if you arrive in the morning or afternoon at your destination, here's the big suggestion, right? Here's the big suggestion. You take a quick walk in the sunshine that still remains. Take a quick walk in the sunshine, and that could help you adjust to some degree, because the sunshine is going to be interpreted by the brain, the pituitary gland. Hey, it's not midnight. Maybe I shouldn't release so much melatonin. So by going out in the sunshine, you could actually limit a bit of the jet lag to a small degree, right? It may help you feel a little more wakeful and help readjust your internal clock and the melatonin regulation. So first thing, if you arrive in the morning or even if it's in the afternoon, go out for a walk and seek sunshine. Don't walk under no shade. Don't go into no AC. Get some sunshine for half an hour, or something the case may be. It's going to be a big help. Now, before you take off, as soon as you get on the plane, set your watch to the time zone of your destination. That's important. You know, I have a way of setting my clock to the time zone of St. Vincent because I want to know what's happening, because I got to keep making calls back to St. Vincent. And I got to get in touch with St. Vincent. And boy, one of the worst thing is calling somebody at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. But the best thing is to set it for the time of where you're going. That's really important, you know. And so now this will help you mentally transition to the new time zone, and also be sure to get a good night rest before your trip begins. So you're doing that before you leave. Now during the flight, during the flight itself, if the flight is during the night at your destination, try to get some sleep on that plane. Don't do like me and stay up and look at movies. The flight crew actively will do as much as possible, to help you adjust to. They will tell you, if you fly in a plane, do you see they'll shut off the lights? They give you blankets, give you pillows, all that while you sleep. Now, if it's already night at your destination, they will serve the meal and drink and then turn off the cabin lights until the right time before you land. I'm telling you that. They help you adjust, and that's what happens, Now, as said, it's important. There's lots of nice movies you may not have seen, and they come out with a meal service. If you fall asleep, you know what happens? You sometimes miss the food. You miss the food, so you just step. But what you do is, if when you're with somebody, tell them, wake me up. Wake me up. Tell the story, wake me up when the food thing passes wrong. Or wake me up when fluids are coming around so I can hydrate. And don't offer me any alcohol. You understand? That's what you tell and it's good to have maybe they have these travel pillows. I bought one out at Guyana International Airport, this U-shaped thing. They work, they help, position your neck and all that kind of thing. And, these things help. Now, should you take Benadryl? Benadryl, which makes people sleepy, can be taken. Some people, it does give them a little bit of a hangover. But for people who will have difficulty going to sleep and rarely need sleep, there's nothing wrong with taking half a tablet of Benadryl or maybe one tablet of Benadryl. Don't overdo it. You could listen to some smooth music. Kamal could advise you on that. Smooth music that helps you sleep. I mentioned hydration. Dehydration, being dehydrated, can also contribute to the effects of jet lag. So drink plenty of water during the journey. Just keep drinking it. Yes, it'll make you go to the bathroom. And sometimes there's long lines to the bathroom, right? But hydrate, and avoid caffeine and alcohol at all costs, because these will not only affect your quality of sleep, but they make you dehydrated. Alcohol and caffeine are dehydratants. Alcohol and caffeine are dehydratants. They will help you become dehydrated when you should be filling up with fluids. Now, I'm not saying there isn't water in the caffeine. I'm not saying in the alcohol there may not be a little water, but the alcohol and the caffeine itself will do the opposite, and will not allow you to really keep a lot of that water that you need. You need clean, clear water. Now, wear comfortable clothing and shoes, and be sure you're able to stretch. There's questions whether on a plane you could really stretch. Yes, you can. Yes, you can stretch on the plane, little stretches. And what is the best medicine for jet lag? Well, I mentioned it. It's not necessarily Benadryl, it's melatonin. And you could go into a pharmacy and there's supplements of melatonin. But, even if you're really going to suffer from jet lag, you should really use this. Now, probably the most well-known treatment of jet lag, melatonin, is something that we do. And I say, I mentioned the pituitary. Really, it's the pineal body. It's the pineal body that releases it. Now, sunlight, as I said, helps. Now, Vitamin B12 is is an essential vitamin for energy and metabolism and nerve function. So B12 can also help to alleviate the feeling of tiredness and weakness. Come on, you be asking about tiredness, weakness. Taking some B12. B12 vitamin is good, right? And it will definitely help that feeling of tiredness and weakness after long flights, and give you the energy boost that you need that first day. It may not be enough. You have to do this in combination with all the other things I'm saying to you. There's also zinc. Zinc supplements also are good. They help as a mineral and so forth. Is linked to energy and things like that. Now, when you're traveling, especially via plane, you can make sure that you take zinc. Also take some vitamin C and some vitamin D, and make sure you have adequate amounts of these at whatever age the person is, whether young, whatever sex, gender, male, female. And of course, so it's important that to get these things, you should see a healthcare professional. You shouldn't just listen to me, Gerald Thompson. But I'm saying that zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D, along with vitamin B12 to boost your energy, maybe some melatonin supplement, lots of sunlight, hydration, all that is good, you know? Now, what about food? Is there any food that prevents jet lag? Well, it's said that during the time, whether before or on the plane or so, you should have a high protein breakfast and lunches to stimulate your body's active cycle. You need protein, right? So suitable meats, whether you're a person who don't eat no meat or what, I'm saying that, you know, eating steaks, eggs, hamburgers, or high protein cereal, green beans, green peas, all these things are great, and will feast your there's a good night, Dr. Thompson. What about natural ingredients to help sleeping hygiene in general? You mentioned melatonin and other antihistamines. I have learned that ripe bananas can also help. You can also get a ripe banana, cut it in two and boil it out, okay, all right? And you can drink the liquid and also eat the banana. All that is good. Now, that's somebody who knows their stuff. Person is right. And before coming here, you know, I'm still suffering from jet lag. I just went to the supermarket and I bought a Hana banana. And on my way down here, I break off two. And I carry them in the car, and I'm still chief. I didn't put it in a bowl and squeeze it or anything like that, or puree it and so forth. I ate it. I ate sweet Vinci banana. And you're right. That's highly effective. But what I'm saying, and I think I'm painting a picture that jet lag is going to depend on the distance. The further distance you go, many time zones, 12 time zones, you're going to have it bad compared to one time zone going to some other place nearby. Or let's say 4 or 5 time zone going to London. You're still going to have it bad going to London, but it's not going to be so bad as going to Thailand, you know? And then if you've thrown down some alcohol and caffeine, and you're dehydrated, and you haven't really prepared your mind for the jet lag. On the plane, you look at a whole set of movies and so forth. You are setting yourself up for some bad things. So you may need multiple things. And what I'm saying is that you need a combination of things. And the sunlight, the first thing, get the sunlight on your face, walking, so forth. Then also, I say prepare by setting your watch and so getting some melatonin supplement. Also, I told vitamin B12, vitamin C, vitamin D, so forth. You don't do the supplement, you get these naturally. You get these naturally, vitamin C with oranges and so forth, other fruits and so. And what that caller just put, also some bananas. If the bananas may not be enough, right, on its own, but will be effective. Now, in St. Vincent, if you are having problem with sleep and you're not having jet lag, bananas may be highly effective, may be good. You know, they're easily digested. So a while back, other persons might have introduced something called chamomile. Is another message there? Yeah. My intro to chamomile. And I say, in St. Vincent, for many of you who know it, there's something called shepherd's needle. Shepherd's needle. These are different names for the daisy plant. In England, they call these things daisies. They grow wild on the side of the road. I saw them in Thailand. I see them all along the side of the road in Rose Hall and those other places. And they are chamomile. They produce something called chamomile. And they basically can also help you get some good sleep. Chamomile, in addition to what was mentioned of bananas. And I would say, in terms of one of the most important things that we have to look at with jet lag is your mindset. Your mindset. Preparing and setting your mind for travel. And making sure that you plan your travel. You have all your tickets. You know if you have a stopover, a layover, how long that layover is for. The amount of people who miss their second flight or who miss a flight. I tend to miss a couple of flights from time to time. Come on, I will tell you that, and it's very disruptive. But sometimes you get to a place too early and you could spend and waste a lot of time there at the airport, spending a whole day traveling. But the important thing is that whenever you do land, you want to hit the ground running. You want to be on top of things. You want to be able to accomplish things really that you want to accomplish. And sometimes you can have a disaster. If you're a person who, when you land, you have to rent a car and drive, you could imagine the difficulties that are going to happen. You know what I mean? And Kamal, I know you're probably suffering from a little sleepiness yourself, right? Huh? You're tired, yes. Huh? The jet lag, yes. Yes. And these things could really disrupt your day. Get into an accident, having a bag near you and leaving your bag unattended, and then your bag disappears because you've fallen asleep, somewhere. You're in a taxi or cab, you come out, you don't take all your stuff because you're a little confused and tired. And so jet lag could make you do all these things. Jet lag could make you make some bad decisions, And so it's important to prepare properly for a flight. Getting on the plane is one thing. Getting off the plane is another. And functioning as you get off the plane really depends on what you did before getting on the plane and what you did whilst on the plane. And I can't emphasize enough that caffeine and alcohol are dehydratants. They will dehydrate you. And dehydration is one of the big things that adds to jet lag and sleepiness and tiredness. You've been dehydrated and you're tired and so forth. Even when you are tired and sleepy, just drinking some water hydrated. You could feel your lips, and you can feel if your lips are dry, if your tongue is sticking to the top of your gum. And if that is the case, you may be a little dehydrated. I could watch people and see they're like 5%, 10% dehydrated. And just by 2 glasses of water, they could fill back up the tank, and they'd be surprised how much energy they are putting back on. Your blood, if it doesn't have sufficient water in it from hydration, could you imagine that blood is now a little thicker? And if the blood is flowing around in blood vessels, the heart has to pump harder to pump it around. The blood is more sluggish, it's thicker, and therefore the oxygen and the nutrients can't get to the tissue. So you're going to feel tired. You're going to feel weak. And hydration is really a critical factor. So don't do anything that will further enhance the dehydration, such as alcohol and caffeine. And I'm a person, I don't generally recommend melatonin. As I did mention, reduced by the pituitary gland, but pineal body, and that as I say controls our sleep-wake cycle, controls a number of other, help control a number of hunger and all those sort of things. And so that's it about jet lag. And I'm hoping that anybody who really has to travel could pick up a little from this and can learn a lot about this. Whenever you travel, people can have a big agenda for you. They don't tell you, well, rest off for the next 5-6 hours. They're ready to take, especially if it's relatives and friends, they're ready to take you all over the place. You're ready to go. So you should be really prepared, especially around Christmas time, as people are rejoining others and rejoining family members and so. And, you should be very conscious of the time zone. I'm on radio on Monday mornings, and I was in Miami on Monday, ready to join my program at 8 o'clock. And then when I checked, I realized the program been going on for a whole hour. When I checked in St. Vincent, it was already 9 o'clock. So I missed the first hour of the morning, activated morning show, because I did not fully become conscious that I was an hour in front, right? And that when I started preparing, I thought I was preparing at 7 o'clock. I'm going to get ready, Already it was 7 o'clock. It was really 8 o'clock. I should have been on the radio at that time. Instead, I came on at 9, because I came on in Miami at 8, knowing the time difference, time zones, and so is critical. But I will go back. I went to Thailand, and I took a journey up to the Thailand-Myanmar border. Anyone ever heard of Myanmar? It's called Burma. And Burma is under military dictatorship. And we went right up to the border, and we could see troops from Myanmar over there, troops from Thailand over there. That was really an interesting moment. But I tell you, in Thailand, I took the opportunity to get a massage. And it was one of the best massages I've ever had in my life. Kamal, when you're lying down on the couch and somebody is, I wonder if I should say this on the radio, somebody is walking on your back, really giving the right kind of pressure to your muscles and so forth. You feel the air being squeezed out of your lungs, but you can still breathe, And the kneading of your shoulder muscles, Come on, you should try that sometime. The kneading of your shoulder. I felt afterwards I had an extra 2 bonks in my step. You know, it was really good. And Thailand, they, as I mentioned, 94% of the people are Buddhist there. But it was fascinating going along to the night markets. They have night markets there that open up, well, they open all day, but they go all night. And there's foods. There's a food called sticky rice mango. Sticky rice mango. They use mango. They use coconut. The coconut meat, and they grind it up into a fine liquid, and they add that to the rice, and they slice mango and put that on the thing, and the combination of the rice, the coconut, and the mango is just so delicious. Sticky rice mango. I'm gonna start to introduce some of that, you know. And boy, the guavas I mentioned are so massive. Their avocados are small. The Hass avocados. I prefer our big mangoes. You know, I prefer our big avocados, I should say. You know, but it was an experience being in Thailand, a wonderful place in Southeast Asia. And Thailand is bordered by Laos and Cambodia. You know, so you could imagine, and just not too far away is Vietnam, right? And not too far away is also Malaysia and Singapore. That area of the world is just phenomenal. And the shopping is great. Shopping is wonderful. And I didn't really buy too many things, right? Because I was there on business. And it was business-like, you know. But it's certainly a wonderful place. I hope to probably go back there a second time, because I would love to re-experience that massage, you know? The cuisine was wonderful, all the fruits and so forth. You know? Oh my, the fish, when they do fish, and the way they season their fish. They use a fair amount of lemongrass from time to time. But it's the different spices. They like spice, a bit of spicy food. Their food is quite spicy. So when they ask you, do you want it spicy or not spicy? Well, the not spicy is spicy. And the spicy is extra, extra spicy. They put some stuff inside there. But, you know, Thailand used to be a place, they used to plant a lot of opium to make heroin. And a lot of work is being done to get the tribes and the people who occupy the hillsides and the mountains to start planting more vegetables and foods, and so rather than planting opium poppy. And that is really, and remarkably, Thailand is doing great in that respect. But Myanmar has sunk into a whole episode of production of opium and heroin. That's alarming, and it's really something to behold. So with that, I think we've come to the end of the show, and it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much for the persons who text in and so they've helped to guide our discussion. And let me say that anytime you travel, you basically will know a little better now how to deal with jet lag. But I know, and I've done an extensive program on it, but people who have problems sleeping, it may be important to see your physician. There are lots of things that may be causing that, just right here in St. Vincent. And I am pretty sure that this is a condition that can be dealt with, can be easily handled, and we could take good care of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bid you a very pleasant good evening and good night.
People's Pharmacy, for all your pharmaceutical, skin and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in Kingstown.